Welcome to the final day of your product design sprint. Very well done on making it this far. Today we're going to walk through what we typically cover on day 5 of a product design sprint, and that is where we test our ideas and our proposed solution with real users. So the goal of day 5 is to validate our proposed solution with real users. By the end of the day, we should have a clear idea of what we need to do next, which aspects we need to change, and which ones we can progress with. So what are the benefits to testing? Well, first of all, we got fast validation. So by testing our solution with users, we get real feedback and insights from them. And this can help us to quickly validate the solution and determine whether it's worth pursuing or whether we need to look at a different potential solution before we commit a lot of resources to try to build out that solution. So that fast validation is key, as it saves your resources and saves you time. And this results in reduced time to market. So again, by validating your idea quickly and making those better decisions, you can reduce the time it takes to bring your solution to market. So you know exactly what you need to build and exactly what works, and you can build that in a little bit more of a streamlined fashion. And that can give you a competitive advantage. Thirdly, you have improved product market fit, and this is key. So getting users to test your prototype or your proposed solution before you try to bring that to market, it gives you invaluable insights and allows you to iron out those kinks or to get rid of any potential issues that would have arisen from your original solution before you bring that to market. So all in all, that leaves you with a product that better meets the needs of your target audience. Fourthly, by testing and validating assumptions and solutions early, you can mitigate risks associated with developing a new product or solution. And this can help you to avoid wasting time and resources on ideas that won't work, that will need to be adjusted after launch. So what do you need for day 5 test? Well, the first thing is a testing score sheet. You need to have something like this prepared in advance, and it just provides a way to quickly mark how each aspect of your solution is performing. And I will go through an example for Travel Bucket in a couple of minutes on what this looks like, and we'll include a resource that will help you get set up in this. Secondly, we need to have 5 user testers. So these testers should be scheduled in advance. Again, you need to have this pre-planned because it's hard to get these people in on short notice. Each test session should last about 30 to 60 minutes, depending on how large the scope of your solution is. So if you're doing quite a detailed prototype, like our Travel Bucket example, and there's a couple of different flows involved, we probably want to schedule those 60 minutes. If we don't use all 60, it's not a problem, but it's better to let people know that you might need them for 60 minutes and to give them some time back rather than taking more time than they originally thought. Some tips for running your user tests. The first one is, if you're wondering who your testers should be, again, we kind of discussed this a little bit with your experts, but your testers should be the end users of your proposed solution. So if there are multiple faces to your solution, say a user and a customer and a buyer, try to have at least 2 from each group to test your solution. How many testers should we speak to? We would typically advise around 5, and again for 30 to 60 minutes each. Anything less than 5, and you probably won't get a particularly balanced verdict. 1 or 2 people could skew the results. Anything more than 5, and you often see a diminishing return where testers are repeating the same information. So 5 is typically the sweet spot. Again, you want to schedule these in advance before you begin your product design sprint at all. You want to have these set up for your Friday or for your 5th day of the sprint. It's absolutely pivotal. Day 5 is really, really important. So these people won't be easy to get on short notice. So try to have them arranged with a respectable amount of prior notice. Fourthly, it's helpful to delegate tasks while you're running a user testing session. So again, trying to multitask and listen at the same time is difficult. So if you're the facilitator leading the session, try to assign someone else to be the note taker and to keep track of time for you. And that way you can focus your whole attention on the tester and what they're saying. Again, much like Ask the Experts, try to apply the 90-10 rule. So the goal of this session is that the tester does the speaking and you do the listening. So you want to allow your tester to speak for 90% of the time, and you try not to speak for over 10% of that time yourself. And ask your tester to think out loud as they try out your solution for the first time, just to get them started and to them explain what it is that they're seeing, what they're thinking, and what they would like to do next. Another helpful tip is don't instruct your testers. So the purpose of the test is to find out if a user can intuitively figure out how to use the solution on their own. So you prompting them along the way and saying, oh, now you have to click here, now you have to click there, now you have to open this. That's not particularly helpful. You're not doing a very good job testing the solution. So other than giving, say, an initial task for the user to complete, don't tell them where to go or exactly what to do unless they're really, really stuck. Again, you want to ask some open-ended questions, but try not to steer your testers. So questions like, do you like our solution, is not particularly helpful because most people will say that they do because they won't want to hurt your feelings. That one can make testers a little bit uncomfortable and is not that valuable. Don't you think our solution is a big improvement? That's a very leading question. And again, we would have seen some of this in Ask the Experts, but you don't want to load your questions with an opinion in the beginning because that will bias your tester's answer. Is this feature a good idea? This question is, first of all, a yes, no, so it doesn't really open itself up to additional conversation. It's kind of dealing in absolutes. So you want to try to avoid that as much as possible. And if a tester asks you, what does this button do? Or what should happen when I click here? Or I don't know what to do. And if you say this button does X, or you need to click here, try to avoid answering those questions like that. Examples of what would be a better way to approach this is to ask your tester, what aspects did you like about it? Or what aspects did you not like about it? That's a little bit more open-ended than say, is the feature a good idea or do you like the solution? Another helpful question is, if you could wave a magic wand, what would you change? That's just maybe a nicer way to ask them what they didn't like about it. And people might feel more comfortable answering that question because they feel like they're being less critical of the solution. And what you said about X is interesting. Could you elaborate on that? That again just makes it a little bit more conversational. It shows that you're listening, and it makes it feel like less of an interview session and more of just a social chat. You seem to get stuck at X or at point X. What did you find unclear at that point? So that's kind of one for drilling down into a problem area that a user might have come across. And it's a nice way just to get them to open up. Again, it's fairly open, so you're allowing them to do the talking, to add as much detail as they feel comfortable to do. If your user asks you, what does this button do? A really good response there is, what do you think that button would do? Or what do you think that button should do? Or what do you expect to happen if you click that button? And sometimes in your prototype, the button that they're asking about might not do anything, but it's no harm to ask them this question, what they think it should do, because they will essentially start telling you what is most intuitive to them, and an intuitive product is a really good product. And finally, you want to make sure that you ask them at the very end, do you have any other feedback or thoughts for us today? Just to gather anything that might not have been addressed in the prototype or in your line of questioning. It just opens the floor up to your tester so that they can take that into their own hands. So what do normal results look like for testing? Typically, in most cases, there'll be some aspects of the proposed solution the testers like and some that they don't. And that's completely normal. Remember, it's an iterative process. So try to fix the areas that don't work and then retest your solution again and cycle through that process as many times as you need until you get your product validation. Then you're ready to go in to build your solution and bring it to market. What happens if testers don't like our solution at all? In extremely rare cases, some testers won't like any aspect of your solution, but if that happens to you, don't despair. We still have a lot of positives to take from the sprint. So firstly, remember the Thomas Edison quote that I've not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that do not work. So knowing what you shouldn't do is just as valuable as knowing what you should do. So it's still a positive outcome from a sprint if you know now that you have saved an awful lot of resources by not building a solution that would have been badly received. That's still a good outcome for this sprint. And it's better to know that it doesn't work now rather than to spend 2 or 3 months or a year debating whether it would work or whether it wouldn't, or bringing a product to market that will be negatively received. Secondly, you've got a lot of the groundwork done. You still have a really good understanding of the problem after day one when you spoke to your experts. You've got a lot of other solution ideas that were pitched on day 2 and day 3 when you were generating potential solutions to the problem. So that work doesn't go away. That work is there that you can revisit and lean on for your next iteration. So finally, remember that the goal of day 5 is to test and validate your proposed solution with real users.